Welcome to the Enchanted Ears podcast,
where we discuss anything and everything Disney.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Joe, and we are back from our holiday break, a week longer than expected. The holidays, the 2-week break turned into a 3-week break. So sorry for everybody that was looking for an episode last week. Just with the holidays and everything, weren't able to get an episode done. So we're a week back, but we are back. 2026, very exciting. Hopefully a good year for the podcast. Our 400th episode is coming up this year, so have some things planned. Hopefully they work out. Should be a good year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's crazy that we're on 400. We started this 10 years ago?
I think it was 2018.
Okay, so not quite 8 years ago.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, we've been doing this for a long time.
Very long time, yes.
It's kind of crazy.
I didn't even like Disney when we started this.
Yes, you definitely did. It is funny. We definitely have grown, but because it's one of those things that you develop more of a love for the deeper you dive because you can appreciate the various facets of it. It's kind of like, as I learned today while watching the Eras Tour, Taylor Swift.
And you know what? They had the whole Taylor Swift exhibit at Disney. Taylor and Disney, they're doing more stuff together, so it's exciting. You mentioned it. You kind of love more of Disney the deeper you get into it. We've talked about that before. One of the things that I have gotten more love for and respect for is all of the kind of behind the scenes people, everything that goes into making the movies and making the theme parks. Mm-hmm. We've gotten to interview Imagineers, we've gotten to interview directors, animators, that sort of thing. And I always love those. And this is another one of those episodes. So very exciting. Today we are interviewing Bill Farmer, who's the voice of Goofy. Very exciting. Can't believe this happened.
I was going to try to do a Goofy laugh there, but it would have been horrible.
Yeah. So can't believe this worked out again. It's amazing sometimes.
It was
the
so
people
kind
that
of him to talk to us.
Yeah, talk to us. But a great interview. And if you want to hear some of that Goofy voice, Bill throws in a lot of Goofy in the interview, throws in a lot of other voices. Really exciting. Really looking forward to everybody to hear it. So without further ado, let's get into the interview. We are very excited for our next guest. He started his career in stand-up comedy before becoming the voice of Goofy almost 40 years ago. In addition to Goofy, he has voiced Pluto since 1990, along with countless other characters, all of which led him to being named a Disney legend in 2009. We are honored to be talking to him today. Bill Farmer, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks for having me. Merry Christmas, too. Hope you had a wonderful holiday. We had here in Los Angeles, we had lots of rain, but it's a beautiful day today. Sun's out. Everything's turning to normal.
Yeah,
good. Yes, Merry Christmas to you as well.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Yeah, we've had a really drab couple weeks over here too. And misty, but yeah, I heard you guys got slammed over there.
Yeah, we really did. They said this was the rainiest Christmas ever, I guess. So, but we get all of our yearly rain in about 2 weeks, and the rest of the year it's just dry as anything. So.
Well, Bill, I mentioned kind of at the top there. You started your career in stand-up comedy before becoming the voice of Goofy, and so kind of wanted to start earlier in your career there. Of when did you first realize voice acting was something you wanted to do?
Well, it's kind of like swimming around in a river. The river takes you in a certain way with your career, and you can kind of guide it to a little bit and swim around a little bit. I grew up in a little town in south central Kansas, and I was always enamored with the movies and cartoons and everything on TV, but there was no outlet in Kansas for that kind of thing. The closest that I could imagine to being in show business was radio. And so I did get a degree in broadcast journalism and started doing radio. Wasn't much money in that, but it was a lot of fun. I was able to develop characters, and I always did impressions for my friends and stuff, even in high school. And never thought it would turn into a career, just kind of fun. But the radio went for several years till I wound up in Dallas. And then, back in March of 1982, I went to a comedy club, and they had an open mic night, and you could get up and do 5 minutes of comedy or whatever. I said, I've always wanted to kind of try and do that. I shouldn't let the fear of going on stage stop me. So I kind of went up on stage the next week, and I got a pretty good response with some impressions that I did. Long story short, I started doing that, going back to that club every week called a Comedy Corner in Dallas. And forgive the phone, it's going to ring here a little bit, but it'll get it. So I started doing impressions, and then started doing stand-up around Dallas and in South Texas and everything. And I did that for about 4 or 5 years. During that time, I got married, and on the advice of an agent who heard the voices I did and said, you ought to go out to Hollywood and see what you can do. And I said, okay. So I got an apartment out here in Hollywood and was able to get an agent. As luck would have it, about 5 months after I got an agent out here, they asked me, do you do any of the Disney characters? And kind of almost the rest is history in a way.
Do you remember like what any of those early impressions you did, like your early
ask
act?
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I would. I think one of the first ones I did was at pep assemblies. I was from Pratt, Kansas, and we would fight Dodge City, and we'd do the Dodge City Demons, and they would put me up to do like John Wayne or something, and let's get those wagons in a circle, and we'll go and beat those Dodge City Demons this weekend, and everyone would cheer, and it kind of became just a thing. Jimmy Stewart, and Will Walter Brennan too. Some of them old Western actors. I used to do a lot of voices. And Mr. Haney on Green Acres was one of my favorites to do, never knowing that I would get to work with him, Pat Buttram, later on in a Goofy movie. So, it was just kind of my adoration for comics and those kind of actors from that era. And it kind of turned into, gosh, a Goofy kind of career.
How much do you think the stand-up comedy and kind of the impressions has helped your career? Do you feel like you bring that into your role as Goofy or other roles you've done?
Oh yeah, it really did. I didn't know I was training for this career at the time, but stand-up's perfect because animation acting is a little bit generally, it's kind of bigger, grandiose a little bit. It's out there, which you have to do on stage. If you're telling a joke on stage in front of an audience, you got to make sure the people in the back can hear you, so you're a little bit louder, and the movements are grander a little bit. And that's what we do in the voice booth. We just kind of go a little bit bigger than normal, and it fit in perfectly for Goofy. And yes, it was a great training ground. As a matter of fact, I always tell students that want to get into voice acting, take acting lessons and take improv if you can, because it comes in really handy when you're just kind of riffing in the booth. And usually I'll get 2 or 3 takes on a line, and sometimes I'll come up with maybe a better joke than what was written.
Are there any particular lines that come to mind that you maybe improv that you were particularly proud of?
Well, let's see. When Goofy and Max are in the car, and I had to say the line, he was sleeping, how many cups of sugar does it take to get to the moon? I kind of riffed with that several times. We probably did that 20 to 30 different times. And I'm not sure which take they actually used in the movie, but yeah, I tried different versions of that over and over. And that seems to be one of the quotes that a lot of people at Comic-Cons kind of come up with as kind of a standalone line.
That's incredible. That's an incredible movie that has gotten so much love as of late with the anniversary and everything. I mean, it was really a cool, it was a really interesting way of adding depth to a character that you wouldn't think has a lot of depth. And it's just such a, I don't know, it was so fun. How excited were you when you heard that they were making a Goofy movie?
I was amazed, and because it originally, the first television series I did as Goofy was called Goof Troop. This was supposed to be a Goof Troop movie based on the TV series. But we started kind of recording and kind of going over some things, and then they said, no, let's make this into a buddy-buddy picture with his son. And then the road trip thing came up, and it kind of evolved slowly over a number of years, actually. It came out in 1995, but we actually started recording about in 93. So we had a couple of years of recording, and we did a lot of scenes over. Some made it in the movie, others didn't. And they just kind of found their way as they went along, and they pieced together this movie. And I'm amazed at how well it's stayed together and how popular it is. It was #1 on Disney Plus this April, which 30-year-old movie ever get to do that. It was totally incredible. It's the #1 thing that people talk to me about at Comic-Cons, and they all come up and will say, gosh, thanks for my childhood. I couldn't talk to my dad, or we had a bad relationship, and that movie brought us together. And that's really the joy in doing that, is hearing from the fans what it means to them. And wow, I'm just blown away.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a movie that works on so many levels because, like kids watch it and they could see it from Max's perspective. And then when you watch it as an adult, it's like, whoo, like.
Yeah, I get it now. I've got kids. I understand.
Yeah.
Kind of speaking of a goofy movie, along with that this year, the Not Just a Goof documentary came out. And one of the things that I found interesting in it, and seeing your interview, kind of a piece of that, is it seems like you really embody Goofy. Like, it seems like it's hard to tell where, Goofy ends and Bill starts. And so I wonder, after voicing the character for so long, how much of Goofy's personality has rubbed off on you, and how much of your personality has kind of rubbed off on Goofy?
Well, to do a good job at acting, you have to imbibe yourself and kind of get as close to the character's point of view and mindset as you can. And since Goofy's been around since 1932, I kind of had to step into his shoes rather than come up with a whole new character on my own, which is a little easier, really. But everyone knew who Goofy was, and to take that character, which was, he's pretty Saturday morning kind of silliness for, when we started in Goof Troop and everything. But when they wanted him to be a nurturing father and worried about Max, those are emotions that we never had to do with Goofy before. And finding that. And the way you do that, you kind of use your reference point. My son was about 5 when the movie came out. And so I was just kind of putting him in my mind in place of Max. How would I talk to my real life son? And we'd find how much Goofy to get in there to make the scene work. And so we did a lot of takes on a lot of the more father-son kind of things. And Jason Marsden is just tremendous in that role. He's a fantastic actor. And when I first heard him act, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to have to step up my game, really act. Yeah. And we've stayed together and friends for all of these 39 years, coming up in next month, actually. And I see him fairly frequently as a friend, as well as get-togethers for, reunions or singing on stage or whatever they have us do. He's also a personal friend, and that's great. He's wonderful. So it's like getting a kid, getting another son.
So were you in like kind of the recording booth together when you were doing your scenes, that you could kind of like act off of each other?
Yes, quite often we did, but we also had solo sessions. And most of the actors was not in the studio with. The first thing I did actually on the movie were the songs. And Aaron Lords, Jason always tells me he didn't get to sing the song. They didn't know he could sing. Aaron Laurie, who's a singer, sang the songs, and he's a good friend of Jason's. And Jason actually tells the story where he says, yeah, hey, Aaron, what you been up to? Yeah, I've been doing the singing for this a Goofy movie thing as Goofy's son, because I guess the actor they have can't sing. And so Jason goes, yeah, that's me. So, and we've sung on stage several times together. And yes, Jason can sing, would have worked out just fine, but also gave a little work to Aaron.
Yeah, that was kind of like Disney's MO back then. Like, oh my gosh.
A lot of the animated movies.
Yeah, like there were even movies where like, I don't think did Matthew Broderick do the singing in The Lion King? I feel like he didn't. I don't remember right off the top of my head, but
So I know Jim Cummings did some singing in that too.
Yeah.
For was it for Matthew? I forgot.
Jeremy
For
Irons.
Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy
Yeah.
Irons song, yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, they are going. They wanted it to sound really nice, and I felt they used me because I figured, well, I can't mess it up that much. It's Goofy. You don't expect Goofy to sing well anyway. And last summer we had probably the biggest thing I've ever done is got to sing on stage at the Hollywood Bowl.
Woo.
Wow, okay.
Benson singing from The Little Mermaid, Susan Egan from Hercules, all of this music, and I sang The Open Road with Corbin Blue, who filled in for Max because Jason wasn't available at that time. And let me tell you, that was terrifying because there's no tape twos,
Yeah.
It's just out there, boom, you're live. If you mess up, that's it. You've done it. And there was 17,500 people 2 nights in a row.
Oh,
And we
wow.
got a standing ovation. It was like an amazing highlight of my career to actually get to do that, and also very terrifying too.
Yeah.
So-
Is it more difficult to sing in a character's voice than to speak? Like, is that a
Yes,
a
it
big
is.
challenge?
Yeah,
Okay.
and we do a lot of singing on like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse and things. And there are different types of voices. For example, most people will always go up to Brett Iwan and do their Mickey Mouse because if you can do a falsetto, gosh, oh boy, you're kind of in that ballpark already.
Yeah.
That's kind of a vocal character, where Goofy, gosh, howdy, he's got those ups and downs, and he's got a cadence. He's got a kind of a music to the way he says things. When you are singing, sometimes it cuts into that, and you don't get as much Goofy. Other songs kind of play into that, and it works with the way that he speaks. And so, yeah, it is a little different singing as a character than it is speaking as a character. And since Goofy really didn't have too much of a singing background, we got to just kind of come up with this over the years. And luckily, people seem to like it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
I can't imagine being on stage with like all of those people, and I mean,
yeah.
you had to be incredibly I mean, you're an amazing professional, but like, yeah, like all these people have been on Broadway, like.
Yeah,
and then-
that's where the stand-up comedy had helped, because I had gone
Yeah.
in clubs all over the place, and you really can't see the audience. It's about 4 or 5 rows back, and it fades into the darkness, but you can hear them, and you know they're there. And you just also singing to a live 50, 100-piece orchestra was totally different than what I was used to. Usually it's a soundtrack in your headphones, and you can take it over and, okay, I missed that intro. Let me do it again. And not getting a chance to do that was, it was a little terrifying. But I'm glad it was over. I'm glad I did it. I guess it's like what we do in the Army or something. I'm glad I did it, but I never want to do it again.
Going back a little bit to when you first got the role of Goofy, what was that audition process like?
It was the audition process. Well, first of all, I'd say at the time there were 4 or 5 Mickeys, 4 or 5 Goofies down in Florida at Disneyland for the parks, commercials. They might have several different people do that, depending on, this guy sings better as Goofy, so they might have him for an album or something. They wanted to set on that. Michael Eisner and Roy Disney wanted to settle on one voice for each of the main characters. With the advent of the Disney Channel and on TV, and then later on internet, they wanted to hear one voice, one personality, because you're not just listening to the voice, you're listening to the whole thing, the personality, the point of view, all of that plays into that. So they wanted one actor. And I didn't really know that at the time. I just went in, they gave me a cassette tape of the original voice, Pinto Colvig. I practiced it over a weekend, and I went into my agent and recorded it in their booth, and then about a month later they said they'd like to use you. Now, they're not signing you to a long-term contract or anything. Still today, all voice actors, we're independent contractors. Every job, every cartoon that I do is still a unique contract for that day's performance.
Okay.
I'm like the plumber, if you will, hiring He comes in, does the job, goes home. Luckily, I've been able to do it now for about 39 years, and they're still calling me, and got a lot of stuff in the future that I'll be doing. So he's the best character there is, really, because if you think about the Disney characters, Mickey, of course, voiced by Walt way back 1928, I guess, is when that got started, and Mickey's still on TV every day. These are the only characters like that I know of that have had that kind of longevity and are still used and enjoyed. So Walt came up with a pretty good trio, about 5 or 6, a lot of characters actually.
Yeah.
We call them the sensational 6 now. So, and I get to do 2 of them, Goofy and Pluto. So I kind of covered the dog market, I guess.
Right. How did Pluto come
Yeah.
about? Because I didn't realize that you voiced Pluto as well, and kind of in researching your career a little bit for this, saw that you had voiced Pluto. So how did that start?
Well, you mentioned that it was from 1990, and I don't really 100% know when I became kind of the official one. I think I did it in the very first job I did as Goofy, which was a thing called Disney's Doggone Valentine. But I think I was in the booth, and they just needed some barking, and Screen Actors Guild, the union, says that you can do like 3 voices and they don't have to pay you anymore. So would you bark? Can you bark as Pluto? Woo, woo. Yeah, I just barked because I love dogs. Okay. And so I barked, and it just kind of stuck. And over the years, I've done, Pluto's been about everywhere that Goofy's been, but he doesn't get as much respect because he doesn't talk. So
Yeah. I don't know. I think we gotta work on that. I think that we should teach Pluto how to talk.
Yeah, I have actually one time I've spoken as Pluto. It was in a cartoon, and I think it's Mickey and the Roadster Racers. I think it was where there was one where Pluto has an angel and a devil kind of telling him things.
Okay.
So I did a kind of a high voice for the angel and a kind of a deep voice for the devil. Hey, Pluto, what you got to do is get that bone, whatever the line was. And so that's the only time I've ever actually spoken as Pluto in 39 years.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, that's amazing.
That is incredible.
What has been the most difficult part of voicing Goofy? Like, what have you found kind of being the most challenging part of the role?
The singing was kind of tough to get into. Now we have it down. We're doing on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse Plus. We do a song about every episode, or two little songs. We've kind of gotten it down. I've learned how to sing in that character much better. In the beginning, the songs were kind of the tough thing. And since COVID, I've been recording here at my house. And my son, who's an audio engineer, we have a studio here, and I don't even have to go into the studio for most of the things that I do. And he's a drummer, too, so he's got great timing. And so he'll take, okay, and come in, And so he'll direct me. And also the directors that we have, it's basically a Zoom call, really. Monitor up on the stage with Kelly Ward, our director, and they send me the lines. I've got the little booth there, and we just do it here at the house. And it's been working pretty good since COVID, enough that I'm still doing it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so what, I guess kind of how long does the process take? Like how far in advance do you get the script to kind of learn? How long does the recording session take? Like, is that a pretty quick turnaround?
Yeah, for most things, like let's take Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. I'll get a script, and they book me for a thing, let's say next Tuesday at 2:00. And it'll just be me. I won't have the other actors to play off of, but I know them so well. I know the way that Brett would say a Mickey line or Caitlin would do a Minnie line, and I can respond to it. And then if the director, Kelly, if he says, oh no, Mickey's like 50 feet away from you, then I might have to call it, like that.
Yeah.
Whereas if he's right next to you, it's, gosh, Mick, how you doing? And then you have to define the situation of what's going on. In other words, if the room's on fire, I'd say it different. Hey, Mick, let's get out of here. Let's get out of here. You just add that part to it. You just it's theater of the mind, and you just kind of bring it to life as best you can. And that's the problem with recording at home, is that it's a solo kind of thing. I don't get to see my friends except when I do go to Comic-Cons or to a Disney event or something like that. Then I can see all my friends. But I've worked with a lot of celebrities and stuff over the years that I've never met or even talked to.
So, speaking of that, since you do a lot of the stuff at your house now, but what's the strangest place that you've ever recorded a session? Or even, I know we met Brett Iwan, and for like a second he threw his jacket over his head. He was at a Comic-Con, threw his jacket over his head. We all of a sudden heard Mickey Mouse talk, and then he came out, and his husband was like, "Oh yeah, he just had to record something real quick for I don't remember what it was." Yeah. But yeah.
Generally, I make sure I use the same equipment, so I'll record here. But for fans or something like that, someone's called up a friend of mine from Australia the other day and wanted a quick little note. They were going to Disney on a Disney cruise, and for their 6-year-old, they wanted, would you say something as goofy? And I did. And so I think, did I do that? I might have done that while I had just taken a bath. I think I still had my. I did. Maybe in the bathtub is probably the weirdest place I've recorded anything, but an actual show, no, I do it in my professional equipment studio.
See, when you said that, I imagined Goofy in the tub with like a pink towel wrapped around his head with one of those long like loofahs on a stick.
Yeah, that's if that's audio only, I could probably do that. I could do it anywhere. But
That's awesome. And then also kind of just speaking across, again, the decades you've done the character, and Goofy has really, I feel like, evolved. Like, there's been a lot of different versions of him. Like you kind of mentioned, he started off and then in a Goofy movie, he kind of became more of a father. The more recent
the Paul Rudd
kind of Mickey Mouse cartoons and what they have with Runaway Railway is kind of a very different version of Goofy.
He looks very different.
Yeah, and acts different and everything. So what is it like to have seen kind of that evolution and been a part of that, all those different versions of Goofy throughout the years?
it's kind of fun because the script kind of defines the character to a degree. The Paul Rudish scripts are very funny and everything. He has got a totally different look. He looks like he did in 1932, really. He's more of a throwback. So his name was Dippy Dog in those days. So I think of that as Dippy Dog. So I kind of have a little different. He's a little sillier, and it's more comical, whereas the Goofy movie Goof, he is a father who's trying to do the best for his son. So those emotions are what flavor the voice. And every show that we've ever had seemed to have its own vibe that we got into. It would have its, in Hot Dog Hills in, Racers, or in, Fun House. They all have their own vibe, and it's a little bit different from each one. And it's usually because of the scripts and the way that you might say the words.
Do you have a favorite project or version of Goofy that you've worked on?
I would have to say, just because of all the fans, a Goofy movie, because then we got to really show a lot of sides of Goofy that we never got to do before. And it's really touching to people. And like I say, so many people come up to me all the time and say, gosh, thanks for my childhood. And those comments just really made, wow, that really touched people. And that's really cool. And but I love the Paul Rudish shorts too, because they're just silly, and we can do stuff in that series that we couldn't do before. Where I got to do Goofy's Grandma and Potato Land, which was a favorite of a lot of fans, and Potato Land, and we just I get to quote a lot of those, so it kind of has its own vibe as well.
Do you I'm not sure. Do you go to the theme parks much? Like, what is it like? Kind of like if you're out, and a Mickey Mouse cartoon comes on, and you're kind of at the theme parks, and it's like you hear yourself, like kind of out there, like, and people may not even know it's you. Like, hey, there's Goofy standing next to me.
Most people don't. Luckily, people do recognize me more these days than they used to. For the first 20, 25 years, I really didn't do much on internet or podcasts or anything like that. But now people can see what I look like, and people will come up to me and, "Are you Bill Farmer, the voice of Goofy?" And I sure am, and they just go nuts and everything. It's so cool. But we did go to my wife's half sister and her family came from Atlanta just before Christmas, and we took them all to Disneyland. And so we went on Mickey's Runaway Railway, which I voiced. And that's so cool to see a live audience react to your character. I don't get that when I record just a cartoon or something because it goes streaming and you never know who's watching it. Right. But when people, come up to me and, "Oh, I loved when you did this, and I loved when you did that," that means so much to me.
I was just laughing because I was imagining the noise that Goofy makes at the end of Mickey's Runaway Railway whenever he gets like shocked. Like I can't even do what it was. It's so good. It's so good, Bill. So what is, besides Goofy, you do other voice acting, like you do other characters. So what is your favorite character that isn't Goofy?
Oh my gosh. Well, let's see. Of a Disney series, I did Amphibia for 3 seasons, where I did the character Hop Pop, and of course Hop Pop, I got to come up with that voice myself, and that was kind of based on some voices I heard when I was back in Texas, and for some reason that kind of stuck, and he was a great character to do. Of not even Disney, like Space Jam. I got to meet Mel Blanc way back in the first movie I had anything to do with. I didn't even do Goofy in it, was Roger Rabbit. And Mel Blanc had done Bugs and Daffy and all the characters on that. And I got to do that, after he'd passed in the movie a couple of times, not just in the film, but in things at the park or whatever. But no, I grew up with Mel Blanc and his characters on TV. I really saw them much more than I did even Disney characters. Mm-hmm. And to get a chance to meet him and get him to sign my book, and that was a real honor for me because he was kind of he was our idol back in those days. There weren't too many well-known voice actors in those days.
Mm-hmm. And you said he did Bugs?
Bugs. I did Bugs and Daffy in an episode of Robot Chicken. I did in Space Jam. I did Sylvester, Yosemite, and Foghorn. So I've done a lot of Disney characters. And over the years, you do a lot of incidental characters, too, that don't really have names. Probably the most obscure thing I've ever done was in the movie Beauty and the Beast. I was in the background voice ADR group, which is called Additional Dialogue Recording. You had like the villagers attacking the castle, "Kill the beast," and all that kind of thing. I did all of that. And when Gaston is singing about decorating with antlers in the bar or the restaurant, he was threw 3 eggs up in the air and swallowed them, and they go, and that's me. That's, I'm eggs. I have eggs on my way.
Oh, my gosh.
Toy Story, I was like the mission control voice when they're in the Pizza Planet. T-minus 29, 28, getting ready for launch. Just little incidental characters that are kind of fun to go, "Oh, I forgot I did that. Oh, that's so cool."
Yeah. Oh my gosh. See, that's why you always have to watch the credits, because you have to look at the scroll to see what names you know. Now I have to look for I'll look for your name more in some of those. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Can you hear yourself? If it's a character you've done and you're like, "Oh, yep, I know that's me."
My son actually recognized when I did Shrek 2. Toward the end, I did an announcer they were having a party at the castle, and I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Princess Fiona and Prince Shrek." And my son goes, "Hey, Dad, that was you." Yeah, I guess it was. When I did the session, I wasn't set as that. They had 3 or 4 of us read the same thing, and until I saw the movie, I had no idea which of us used, and he recognized me before I did. So sometimes I guess I did do that. I don't know.
Oh, that's awesome. What is kind of like your process for You mentioned you created a voice, so I'm sure that's a different process versus like Goofy or another established character, like kind of like getting into character for the session.
The if you get the audition lines, they usually kind of give you a handle on how they want this played. If they have a y'all or something like that, then you might do a southern accent so you can say y'all and it's going to sound good. But voices are basically made, and what I teach students, three things. It's what your throat does, what your tongue does, and the situation. For example, if I was going to do a Kermit the Frog voice, okay, and I was listening to Kermit, I was trying to find out. You find something, you find where the voice is, and you kind of, it's kind of a swallowed voice, kind of like that, and that, but he kind of gets it a little higher like that. And he kind of, with your tongue, you enunciate and you find out what the way the character speaks after you find out the tone of the character. And then you have the situation like he's talking to Miss Piggy. Oh, hi, Miss Piggy. How are you? And it kind of just puts you in that mode of the character. And the more you do that, the better you get at it.
Wow.
So
It's as simple as that. That's
yeah,
it.
just
That
something
was it.
like that. Yeah. Make it sound so easy, Bill.
It takes a while to learn. It's like golf or something. It's like easy to say, yeah, knock the little white ball in the hole. Doing it takes a little while.
You're gonna be experiencing me in the shower.
Trying to do
Yeah,
this.
you'll be like, "Why? What are you doing?" And I'll be like, "I'm trying to sound like Kermit the Frog."
My parents didn't know what to think of this. In the middle of Kansas, I'd come and do those some kind of a voice at dinner. Hey, give me some mashed potatoes, Mom. My dad's looking at me and saying, something's wrong with him.
Yeah, did they find you entertaining? Like, did you have brothers and sisters that like were
My
like,
sister, no, she was older than me. I don't think she ever found me entertaining. She likes it now when I take her to Disneyland. But at the time, no, I was just probably the weird little kid that did the voices.
So do you find now that you can like pretty easily like mimic a new voice? Like does it take you a long time to kind of
To get it close takes a long time.
Okay.
To kind of learn the vocabulary and the way this character would say any particular word and make it ring true, that takes a while. I can usually get close. Like if they said, okay, this guy's from England and he's kind of gravelly. Well, you're not, just go like this, you do an English voice, you got that low voice, you got it. I don't know who that sounds like, but it's a character.
Right.
And it's close enough. And, if I have to refine it to sound like a particular actor, then you've got to get a tape of it and try and do a word at a time, making it a little bit longer than maybe a sentence and then a paragraph. And you kind of learn it that way.
wow, that's incredible.
That's amazing. Yeah, you mentioned you kind of mentioned students. So I guess you teach a little bit. So what, like, if somebody wanted to become a voice actor, like you kind of just walk through like doing a voice, but like how do you recommend somebody starts? Like kind of what's a good process to go through?
Well, a lot of people think it's all about the voice, and it's not. I did for the longest time. But I took classes when I first came out here from a guy named Dawes Butler, who was very popular with Hanna-Barbera. He was Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound, Captain Crunch, about 40-some major characters, Snagglepuss, all of these characters. And I took classes from him. And the thing that he said that really stuck with me is, he says, it's not voice acting, it's voice acting. Concentrate on the acting. That's what brings the words, gives them life coming off you can kind of fudge the voice a little bit and it'll still work if the acting's there. So take acting lessons. And if it's on stage in front of people, that's another good thing, because there's no room in this business for that self-doubt you're going to have and the fear you're going to have and the shyness. That's something you got to really fight against. I kind of have to put Bill over here on the shelf and become whatever character I'm doing as much as I can so that it's not, tampered with by Bill what he thinks. No, I want to know what Goofy thinks. So the more I feel like Goofy, the more original and honest it's going to feel. The same with any character.
Do you have like a voice library of like your characters so that you listen to it to get into it? Or how do you actually like remember, okay, I know Goofy sounds like this, whereas another character that I'm doing sounds like this?
Usually, if I've done it, I can get back to it very easily if they'll play me a take from like the last session we did. Like, I did Hop Pop. Now, probably the first season, I'd always have them play Hop Pop again so I can know exactly where to put that voice. Mm-hmm. And you can hear my dogs in the background here. Hey, make it quiet, will you?
Oh, I was going to say it worked. They knew a dog was telling them to do it. If Goofy barked, what would his bark sound like?
Wolf. Wolf. I don't know. He'd probably be more in his voice like wolf.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Wait, hang on. We're 1 second completely off topic. What's your dog's name? You said you love dogs.
That is, I can tell that's Skipper. Skipper is a rescue dog. We have 2 rescue dogs. We did the DNA on him because we don't know what he looked like. He was kind of short, stocky, kind of muscular. He's American Bully, Chihuahua, Bulldog, French Bulldog, Pit Bull, Maltese, and Poodle.
Oh, wow. That's quite the mix.
He's got all sorts of stuff in him. Our other dog, Scout, is about half Pit Bull and a little bit of German Shepherd. There's some Chihuahua in there as well as German Shepherd, I believe. And,
Wow.
You had a Disney Plus. You had a Disney Plus show about like a dog's life or something, correct?
Yes, it's called It's a Dog's Life with Bill Farmer. It's the only, we sold that series to Disney. I love dogs so much, I thought, well, what if Goofy, or me as an actor, not doing an animated dog, what do real dogs, what are they like? What kind of jobs do they have? And finding that out was fascinating. I learned a lot about dogs, and dogs have some fascinating jobs. Like the mayor of Rabbit Hash, Kentucky is a dog. They elected a dog down there. I asked one guy why, and he said, well, he's a lot better than the guy we had.
So that was kind of the idea for the show. You went with, it's not one we've seen. You'll have to watch it.
I was going to say, I just started watching like Secrets of Elephants again today because I was like, I need to.
Unfortunately, it's not on anymore. They put it back in the vault, as they say. It ran for 3 years, and hopefully it come out, or another season. That'd be a lot of fun. But they bought Hulu, and they got a lot of they had tons of shows to show, and so they kind of put ours on hold. So maybe it'll come back. I hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a bummer.
Yeah, that is. I want to talk about becoming a Disney legend. So mention that too, kind of at the beginning of the show. 2009, you were honored as a Disney legend. What was that experience like? Kind of being recognized for just like your incredible career, which is still going long past becoming a Disney legend.
That's the highest honor that Disney bestows on people that have done something for the company. And the year before me was Wayne Allwine and Russi Taylor, Mickey and Minnie. Okay. And so Tony Anselmo and I were awarded that in 2009, the first one in the public, actually the first ceremony in the public. And they had some of the other guests were like Ub Iwerks' son, Don Iwerks, who invented the Circle-Rama camera thing for behind the scenes kind of stuff, not in front of the scenes. They had the Golden Girls. They got some posthumously, but Betty White was there, and she got her award when I did, and also Robin Williams. So I got to be on stage with Robin Williams, which is a big thrill.
Oh, that's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it was mind-blowing. It was in front of about 4,500 people down at Anaheim in the convention center there. And that they would bestow that on me just amazed me, and I'm just honored. I'm always blown away. I get to do something that is the funnest job I think in the world, and get recognized for it is just some ice cream on the topping there, It's
Yeah, it is. That would be a really, I mean, that's an incredible honor. And also just, you bring such like richness in life to Goofy. I mean, you make everybody so happy. It is a really cool job to get to do that and bring smiles to people's faces. You're making me, my face actually hurts right now, Bill.
You know, it's Goofy's such a great character. He was my favorite as a kid, and to get a chance to do him, maybe that's why I practiced the voice a little more or something like that. But to get a chance to do that, and like I say, there's no guarantee. They don't sign you up for 10 years to be the voice of Goofy. It's every job's a new contract. So it keeps me on my toes. I know I want to do the best. And since I talk to a lot of people at Comic Cons, and it means so much to the public, much more than I'd ever realized. But when I hear these stories coming back at me, that how important these characters are, it makes me want to do my best and do it as long as I can. So I'm way past the retirement age now. My friends would always say, "Why don't you retire?" Why? This is the world's most fun job.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Are you still doing stand-up comedy as well, or?
Rarely, not
Okay.
not in clubs or anything like that. Occasionally I'll do speeches, and of course I'll put some comedy in there and some voices and things like that, but not on the like the comedy road where I started with people like Tim Allen and Kevin Nealon and a lot of people that went on to great fame in the comedy world, and so I kind of learned from some of the best ones in the and that got me ready for Goofy. That's the character, and all the other ones that have defined my career over the last 39 years.
Yeah, it feels like Goofy is like the perfect fit for somebody with a comedy background.
Yeah.
Because he is kind of the comic relief. Like Mickey sometimes is very
Yes, he
like
is.
straight laced, doesn't want to
Yeah.
they don't want to push the envelope too far. But Goofy is just kind of like it could be a free for all if you wanted
Yeah.
him to be. So
It goes back and forth between Goofy and Donald, but Donald is always,
yeah.
Donald is always because of some sort of misfortune, or him freaking out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, he can lose it. Goofy is always, he'd fall off a mountain and he'd just dust himself up and get back up there. He's definitely more optimistic than Donald is.
yes, absolutely,
Yes, he is.
infinitely.
So you mentioned, hey, your retirement age, but you're still going at this, which is great. But when you kind of look back on your career and your time as Goofy, even Goofy's career, like how do you want to be remembered? Like, is there a word that comes to mind, or?
Just that I did my best. I tried to bring life into this character and make it palatable and enjoyable for all to see. And, that's really the great reward, is when I do talk to those people at Comic-Cons and people come up and say how much it means to them for this character, and especially a Goofy movie, which it's without a doubt, it's the number one thing that I've ever done that people always talk about. And I learned something a long time ago on how important it is to give back to people. It's not just do it for me, but do it for the audience. I was in Florida, the 10th anniversary of Television Hall of Fame, and we got to meet some celebrities before the show started. I got to meet Muhammad Ali. And I was just blown away. I mean, I was a big fan. And I told him what I did and everything. And the first thing he said is, "Well, do you ever talk to kids in hospitals?" And yeah, I have, with famous phone friends, Make-A-Wish Foundation, stuff like that. I've talked to kids. He said, "Man, then you're my hero," and shook my hand. I've never forgotten that. That kind of encapsulated. Just do what you can for the fans out there. It means a lot more than just a silly animated character. It's more than it's some of the more of a sum than the parts. What I'm trying to say is he's more than the sum of all the little individual parts, the voice, the drawing, everything. He's a real entity that has quite a value out there, and that's not lost on me.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, I
that's
do
true.
want to say you say you want to try your best. I feel like
Yeah.
you're definitely doing a great job. Like you mentioned, Goofy movie, that was something we saw growing up. That's had a lasting impact. Just Goofy in general. So we thank you, and we really appreciate
Yeah,
you,
we do.
taking the time to talk to us today as well. It's been great.
It has been.
Thank you so much. It's and I hope you're having a great holiday season and a Happy New Year.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Want to thank Bill again.
Yes.
I will say I am now going to try perfecting my Kermit the Frog voice. He made it sound so easy. He was like, "Oh, it's just 3 steps. Just do 1, 2, 3. Boom, you have Kermit the Frog." So I think we all have it now. That's all we need to do, right? Just some practice and
He made it seem like it was so. I tried to do it after, and I was just like, I sound nothing like him at all.
I know. Yeah, but it was amazing, like how quickly you can do that. So hopefully everybody enjoyed the interview. Comment, let us know what is your favorite movie, cartoon, theme park ride with Goofy in it. Let us know in the comments on YouTube or on Spotify. Let us know on Instagram. We're at Enchanted Ears Podcast. But that wraps up the show for this week. I want to thank everybody again for listening. If you've not done so, please leave us a rating, review, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps, and we really appreciate it.
Thanks for lending us your ears.
Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you here next Monday.
Bye-bye.